So I think my first question to somebody, if they were, asking me about what martial art is the deadliest, or if it has the techniques that would kill somebody in one technique, or, deadly techniques and stuff like that. My first question, of course, would be, well, what exactly are the threats that you're worried about and that you're facing in your life currently? Um, not to make light of anybody's fears or anything like that, but if you're at that point, you might be young, maybe you're worried about bullies, stuff like that. I know that feeling. You want the strongest, most powerful martial art or whatever to save you, kind of like an anime or something like that. However, the when it comes to killing, if it was, what would somebody say is beating someone to death? Do you see what I'm saying? And that happens a lot without trained people at all. Look at prisons and street assaults and stuff like that. In fact, Chinese kung fu films are far more realistic than American films about martial arts sometimes. In a lot of their films, when the student goes nuts and does the thing that he shouldn't do, he just beats someone to death. It's just a bunch of punches, in the face. And it's horrible and sad, but it's real, if somebody without any martial arts skill wanted to murder somebody with no weapon, they could just shove them, they fall over, and they just step on their head until they're dead. Look at MMA and stuff like that. There's no ref. That's what happened all the time. You know what I'm saying? There's not like some, hidden in a mountain, some secret, Lord of martial arts, like Lord of the Wu-Tang or whatever, that awesome Jet Li film, where they're, stuck in the mountain, there's a secret art, and it's been there for thousands of years, not to discredit the ancient arts that do exist, but you know what I'm trying to say here. I respect all the cultures, please, don't get me wrong. But when I was young and I was new to the club, and I was bouncing, right? And there's definitely a lot more bikers and stuff like that. There was a biker like leader, kind of retired guy. He's showing up in cars a lot more. Big scary dude, but his time, he wasn't really riding around with always, his vest and all that and getting into craziness anymore. But he used to teach hand-to-hand combat in the Marine Corps. So I figured that, especially at that age where I'm so excited about all the stuff I'm learning about and whatnot, I, would ask him stuff to see if I was on the right track, I wasn't part of an MMA gym yet, working, as a coach. And, luckily I got hired as a coach of kids. So with my, fairly limited combat sport experience compared to my experience with more traditional stuff, combatives and whatnot, I was able to learn and, become quite proficient at MMA striking over the years. But before I could pressure test my stuff against, heavyweight amateur MMA champions and shit, and guys who fought on fucking Glory once or twice, I would just ask this dude at the strip club, this, ex-biker gang leader. And this guy, after a while, he just asked me, he said, "Brother, why are you worried about becoming more dangerous and deadly? As a man, as a person, and as you think, and as you approach life, right? You seem focused on that, and I can understand, in your line of work. But, you can see where he was going. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it this way. If you look at military tactics and stuff like that, vast majority of stuff that's going on there is positioning, and it's like that with fighting and all sorts of things. As me and this gentleman had a conversation, I was much smaller back then. I went more of kind of a bodybuilding light route after that, because while I had these skills, me being very skinny, it didn't work out in terms of bouncing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And while I could have stuck, just went another line of work or whatever, that was kind of the life I'd kind of fallen into. So I got much larger, started lifting and eating differently and what have you, to get more of an image of being, big, tough or whatever. That way I don't always have to fight, you know what I'm saying, to get respect. And, he was saying that, yeah, now he's big and gray and old and, kind of like, I guess, like some boy named Sue shit. But he was pointing out that if me and him got into a fight, like a stand-up duel, maybe in like a cage or something like that, that I would definitely put the hurt on this old man. I'm like, at the time, like 24, and he's like, pushing 60, you know what I'm saying? And he's, pretty big guy too. So that age takes a toll on your legs and stuff like that. Not for me to just discredit older guys out there and be like, yo, you can never win against a 20-something-year-old. He was trying to make a point that outside of that he would just murder me, and there would be nothing I could do about it. And the thing is that, at that age, what could I say to that? You know, I was really green in a lot of ways. Yeah, I'd seen quite a decent amount of stuff at that point. But there's no way I was going to tango with this guy outside of like a hand-to-hand duel. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, what I'm trying to, get across out here is just that all you have to do is look at prison and these types of things to get an understanding of where death goes, when it comes to people who need it to happen. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, if you really are worried about it through, maybe bullies or, there's something going on, you got to look at the things that in that world enhance your safety. I mean, for instance, numbers. If you're one kid and, a couple of guys are always hassling you, and now you're 4 kids, you know what I'm saying? Helps a lot if they also don't like that dude who's also messing with you. Then you guys start plotting on him, and yeah, it gets pretty crazy. It can get crazy. Life and how you choose to fight back against those who have come to fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like, self-defense and stuff like that should be opening your mind to all of that. And that's why, once again, those authors I'm always mentioning, like Jeff Thompson and, Rory Miller and Tim Larkin and, Lee Morrison, I keep mentioning, like, these types of guys, Kelly McHann and Mark McGowan and all these people, because that's kind of helped me understand that a bit more. That it is, and when I looked at my life, I did start to see the successes. When I fought back against, certain scary elements or whatever, yeah, duh, you know what I'm saying? If you have people, what the hell? That changes everything. Numbers, and that's just one thing, and then there's the plotting, and then there's, all the weird shady shit that people do in jail and stuff like that. I saw some of that in boarding school, there's a lot more to dealing with threats or enemies or whatever than using a technique or two, and that's why you should be distrustful. I didn't come on here to start, shitting on other martial arts. That's not what I'm here about. I'm here for a whole totally different thing. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like the dude who went out and got into some crazy shit, a martial artist, and I'm like, all right, guys, if you want to go out there and do all this dumb shit, let's talk about where I went with it. So, but I would be suspicious of anybody who's like, this move is a kill move or this is a kill move or whatever, because most techniques can become deadly shit on accident, man. When I was in Taekwondo, I got into a fight when I was in class, like in a normal school class outside of my Taekwondo dojo, and when they were pulling us apart, I just threw a high side kick. I didn't know what I was doing, and I side kicked a young boy, 11-year-old boy, in the throat. I was 11 too. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know Muay Thai at the time, but at that same age, I accidentally did one of those like Taekwondo like elbows from the forums, because I was messing around with this kid, this bully, and I was just throwing a bunch of attacks. I didn't know what to do, and I really fucked up his eye, man. Like, seriously, this is not a joke. This was a serious problem in my school. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's if you just study all the things that send the enemy to death, then you have the ways to send the enemy to death. I mean, hey, Bruce Lee said it, right? He said, if you said you want to learn martial arts to kill somebody, I would just ask why you didn't get a gun, right? And I guess there's nothing for me to say once Bruce Lee has spoken. So I guess we're done here, guys.